Meanwhile, the Lord instructed one of the group of prophets to say to another man, "Hit me." But the man refused to hit the prophet. Then the prophet told him, "Because you've not obeyed the voice of the Lord, a lion will kill you as soon as you leave me." And when he'd gone, the lion did attack and kill him. Then the prophet turned to another man and said, "Hit me." So he struck the prophet and wounded him. Good Sunday morning. I, for one, am grateful that God has not asked me to use this ministry method. Here is a prophet acting under God's direction, and he asks another man to punch him in the face. Man refused because it seemed harsh and unnecessary. As if the request wasn't weird enough, then the prophet declared that because he disobeyed the Lord's command, he'd lose his life. And on his way home, a lion kills him. The prophet then turns to another man, and he obeyed, striking him and wounding him as instructed. Every time I read this passage, I'm like, really? Everything about this story feels unsettling. Why would God ask for such a strange thing? The answer comes in the verses that follow. The wound became part of an object lesson that exposed King Ahab's disobedience. God was not being arbitrary. He was preparing his messenger for a divine assignment. Now, I ain't gonna lie, the death of the man who refused to hit the prophet is something that I'm gonna ask about when I get to heaven. That man certainly believed he was at least demonstrating compassion. But God's judgment in this situation, I gotta tell you, it seems harsh to me. But again, I'm not God. And there are certainly circumstances or motives that I know nothing of. What I do understand is the fact that sincerity is not the same as obedience. Too often we judge God's instructions by whether or not they make sense to us. If God requires actions from us that don't fit our preferences or align with our feelings, we justify our disobedience as ignorance. That doesn't sound like something God would ask, so I'm not gonna do it. How many times, like a childish toddler, have I disobeyed because I don't wanna? We must never forget that God sees the full picture, and sometimes we only see one piece of the puzzle. Our failure to understand should never be used as an excuse to disobey. There may be moments when God asks us to forgive someone who hasn't apologized. He may ask us to give when our finances are tight. He may ask us to speak when we'd rather stay silent. His instructions may not always make sense in the moment, but they are always rooted in His wisdom and His purpose. Obedience isn't measured by how reasonable the command appears. Obedience is measured by our trust in the one who gives the command. My God shot this morning? God is perfectly wise. He never acts randomly, carelessly, or without purpose. And even when His plans are beyond my understanding, every command flows from His holy character, His perfect knowledge, and His faithful love. We can trust Him because He always sees what we cannot. Father, teach me to trust You even when I don't fully understand You. Guard me from evaluating Your will by my limited perspective. Give me a heart that obeys quickly, confidently, and joyfully, because I know You are wise, good, and faithful. Help me to walk in humble obedience today. In Jesus' holy name I pray. Amen. It's Sunday morning.